With that, I would like to ask everybody here to give a great big Jergens welcome to Speaker Newt Gingrich and his wife, Calissa. Thank you.
Thank you all very much. The real excitement of being here is that Jergens is a reminder that you can manufacture in America and you can compete anywhere. We're talking about the fact that you have offices in Shanghai and in Mumbai, but for the purpose of selling in China and India things that are manufactured in the United States. The key to that is, I think, a couple of things that we can dramatically improve. One is to have a tax policy that allows us to write off all new equipment in 1 year, so that we are always having our employees, our workers, have the most modern, most sophisticated equipment in the world, so that we're always the most productive and the most creative. If we do that, we can compete with China, India, Germany, Japan, you name it, but we have to have the ability to constantly renew our tools and to constantly be at the cutting edge of science and technology. Second, I think we need to replace the Environmental Protection Agency with a brand new Environmental Solutions Agency. The effect of EPA in places like Ohio has been to make energy much more expensive. And the fact is, costly electricity kills jobs. So we actually have a vested interest both on gasoline and on electricity to have a lower cost energy system. And that's part of why we ought to look seriously at having an American energy program. The fact is, as you're seeing now in Ohio with the discovery of gas and shale, we have huge quantities of energy in the United States. We actually have more energy in the United States than we have in Russia or Saudi Arabia or Canada, but we've had a government that didn't want to open it up. Now, this affects you in a couple ways. First of all, if we kept $500 billion a year here at home, you'd have a lot more jobs. If you look at North Dakota, where they have been developing their oil field, they have 3.5% unemployment. Now, if we had 3.5% unemployment in Ohio, we'd be pretty happy. And in fact, they produce so much revenue in North Dakota, they've had 7 straight tax cuts at the state level, because more and more money keeps coming in as the system gets more profitable and gets bigger. But there's a key to North Dakota. The oil they found there is on private land, so the government couldn't stop them from developing. And the fact is, we have huge amounts of federal land. We own, for example, all of us here, we own 69% of Alaska. So since Alaska is twice the size of Texas, that means our share of Alaska is 1.5 times the size of Texas. Now, it probably has the largest coal reserve in the United States. One area alone, the Chukchi Sea, has more oil and gas than the Gulf of Mexico. So the potential for us to develop dramatic improvements in energy to create the jobs here at home is very important. But in addition, if we created enough American energy, prices would come down. So this summer, where they're now talking about $4.50 or $5 a gallon gasoline, just remember, if we had an administration that favored reducing the amount of the cost of gasoline by increasing the supply, we would bring the price down pretty rapidly. That has a lot of effects. It has an effect on the cost of manufacturing. It has an effect on the cost of shipping. It has an effect on the cost of driving. So all these different things come together in a way that I think with the right policies, we can really get something done. And in addition, when you're dealing with the Middle East and all the turmoil we're watching in the Middle East, there's really a national security reason for us to want to develop an energy policy so that we could be independent of Iran or Iraq or Saudi Arabia or Venezuela, because those are very unstable places, and relying on them puts our future really at risk. One other part of this. If we're going to remain the leading national defense system in the world, if our military is going to remain superior to anybody else. We have to have companies like this. You cannot be the arsenal of democracy if you don't have an arsenal. So we very badly need to rebuild our manufacturing base so that we are competitive. That's part of why I favor 100% expensing for all new equipment. It's why I favor a 12.5% corporate tax rate, so that we literally would liberate about $700 billion in profits that are tied up overseas. But we'd also let companies like yours compete anywhere in the world. Today we have one of the highest corporate tax rates in the world. 12.5% is the Irish tax rate, and would really allow us to be dramatically better off. So when you do things like that, you begin to make a really big difference. And that's why, frankly, I'm running for president. I believe for us to get back on the right track, we have to have leadership that is committed to new solutions and that is committed to getting it done. And let me just ask a very simple question. How many of you would agree that Washington is significantly on the wrong track? Just raise your hand. And how many of you would agree that the problems we're trying to solve are bigger than just the president, that there's bureaucracy, there are laws, there's the Congress, there are judges, all of them come together and cause a challenge? So that's frankly why I'm running. I think it's a lot more than just beating Barack Obama. I think it is developing a positive program that allows us to create jobs, a positive program that allows us to produce energy, a positive program that allows us to fix Social Security. You know, if we let younger Americans have a personal Social Security savings account, just like they do in Chile and like they do in Galveston, Texas, by the time they retire, they have 2 to 3 times as much money as they get in the current system. Because their whole lifetime, that money is building up. But in addition, when you have that many people saving, you create an enormous amount of capital, which means companies like this then have access to more resources at lower cost. So that one estimate is, with a personal Social Security savings account, you actually end up with an economy $6 or $7 trillion a year bigger by the end of the next generation. It does one other thing. Because everybody gets to save and everybody gets to invest, over the course of the next generation, we reduce the inequality of wealth by about 50% because everybody has a chance to become part of the process. So that's an example of a positive solution. We can take Social Security off budget so every current senior citizen can be totally safe. Never again will a politician say, we're not going to be able to send you your check, because it would be outside the political system and it would be there. They've got $2.4 trillion there. If we get back to a full employment economy, the additional taxes that come just for people, that many people working, will increase the stability of the system. So we can take care of everybody who wants to be in the traditional system, and we can make it voluntary for those who want to have a savings system. And that way you actually begin to save Social Security, increase the size of the economy, and do it in an intelligent, smart way. And so what we've been doing, plus I've been going around the country, outlining positive solutions that we think will give our children and our grandchildren a wealthier country, a safer country, and a freer country. And I think that's a very, very important part of what we're doing. The other thing we're involved in, frankly, is stopping the attack on religious liberty in America. Whether it's the Ninth Circuit Court saying that one nation under God as part of the Pledge of Allegiance is unconstitutional, which was clearly wrong, or it is the same court saying that a cross in San Diego, the Mount Soledad cross, is illegal even though it's been there as a historic monument for years, or recently, just 2 days ago, the same court ruling that marriage between a man and a woman cannot be part of the California Constitution, even if the voters of California voted it in. There's an attack by judges, and there's an attack by the Obama administration on the Catholic Church. All of these things are symptoms of something fundamentally wrong with our liberal elites. And so part of our purpose in running is economic, to get us back on the right track. Part of our purpose in running is culture, to protect the rights of Americans to worship freely without being dictated to by their government. And part of our purpose in running is national security. We live in a very dangerous world. You have contributed to our national security. Products that are made here help our military remain the best in the world. I think it's very wrong for the president to talk about a dramatic cut in the military budget. I think it is going to leave us much more vulnerable to our enemies. I think we live in an age when we have very dangerous enemies who would literally like to kill us. You think about an Iranian nuclear weapon. You think about the dangers to Cleveland, or to Columbus, or to Cincinnati, or to New York. Remember what it felt like on 9/11 when 3,100 Americans were killed. Now imagine an attack where you add 2 zeros, and it's 300,000 dead, maybe 500,000 wounded. This is a real danger. This is not science fiction. And that's why I think it's very important that we have the strongest possible national security. And so I wanted to come see how you manufacture. Remind the news media and others that manufacturing in America can be the dominant system in the world. We have the right technology, we have the right workforce, we can compete with anybody, we can be very, very successful in my judgment. And while there's some controversial about it, I have to confess, I liked the Clint Eastwood halftime ad. I mean, I like the tone of that ad. I like the idea that the world's counted us down before, we're just regrouping. And I believe that with your help in the primary, with your help in the general election, we can in fact develop an approach that will put America back on the right track. It will guarantee that we have a full employment economy. It will guarantee that we're able to compete in manufacturing with anyone in the world. It will guarantee that we can be safe by having the best intelligence and defense system in the world. I really appreciate the chance to come and visit. Both of us are delighted to be here. We look forward to getting to meet all of you individually, and we appreciate very much you showing us around. And you and your family must be very, very proud. So, thank you all very, very much.